benefited from concessional borrowing, which has sort of had our weighted average cost of borrowing low compared to our peers. But as we transition to the middle income status country, that concessional borrowing is certainly going to dry up, and we have seen it starting to dry up, and we inevitably have to access other financing mechanisms such as commercial debt.
A country's public debt is considered sustainable if the government is able to meet its current and future payment obligations without exceptional financial assistance or going into default. Dennis Igoa and Wadulo for UBC News.
The road user fee reduction by Tanzania is hailed as a sign of commitment to grow trade between Uganda and Tanzania. The revised fee to $10 on the Central Corridor will come into force in the 2022-23 financial year.
Lower freight costs have a positive impact on production and trade within the region. It's on this backdrop that the Ugandan business community has been appealing to the Tanzanian government to reduce the road user fees from $16.
They have reduced barriers. The issue we have now with Central Corridor is to see the issue of the road toll. Because the road toll has been there for 10 years, road toll have been there for 10 years, you see the standard of the ESC, I think, is $6 per 100 kilometer. Then, when our truck comes in Tanzania, we have to pay more than $520 road toll. And when they come, they pay $6 per 100 kilometer.
This demand caught the attention of President Samia Suluhu Hassan during her recent state visit to Uganda. President Samia Suluhu of the United Republic of Tanzania acknowledged the importance of the private sector in steering social and economic development and reigned on the matter by announcing a $6 reduction.
General, I should say we have heard you. We have heard your concerns. We have heard your complaints. And take it from me, we're going to work on them.
The incentive has been lauded by the government of Uganda officials, private sector players, and the Central Corridor Secretariat.
So I think now the business community should take this opportunity and to keep high the momentum.
As of now, we are waiting for the implementation to be done. You see, the issue of road user fee, it is not only the problem. There is the issue of allowing clearing agents to work freely in Dar es Salaam port, to work in Tanzania. There was some issue of getting worker permit. Ugandan is getting a worker permit. There is an issue of communication system. For those who are traveling in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, you know how expensive it is to call back in Kampala. So there is a need of harmonization of the communication system.
Landlocked countries like Uganda face greater challenges than other countries, not only in terms of higher cost of freight services, but also due to a high degree of unpredictability in the transportation time. The situation is worsened by other problems, such as the security of cargo in transit, as well as scarcity and high costs of third-party inventory and distribution services.
You're talking about the $10 from $16. I would like to understand that the reduction in a common man's language, in a layman's context, how does it work? And how does it benefit a business person and maybe someone also who owns a truck or someone who uses the route?
For issue of the $10, one, it reduces the cost on transport. You see, once the transport, you reduce the cost. $10 not... when you enter into Tanzania, when like you are going to Bukoba, which means you will pay 100 kilometer $10. You will not pay a full amount.
Who pays that?
A transporter or a driver. So really, which is a bit bringing down the cost. You see, transport cost in the region is the highest in the world. Reason being of non-tariff barriers, such as road user fee, are not harmonized. You can see Congo. When you go to DRC, you enter 2 kilometers. you pay 250 US dollars. In fact, even DRC needed to harmonize since they have entered the East African community.
Dennis Igoa for UBC Business.
Uganda is leveraging on the international awards it scooped recently in South Africa to maintain high tourism standards and position itself as the destination of choice in Africa and internationally.
In a recent tourism event held at Cape Town, South Africa, Uganda received 2 gold awards for the Tourist Destination Country in Africa and the Grand Prix Award for Tourism Destination Country in Africa for its film Explore Uganda, the Pearl of Africa.
This video that has won us this award is very significant for us in helping the tourism sector stakeholders in Uganda with the benefit that it's giving us to kickstart the sector as we popularize Uganda as a preferred tourism destination.
The Explore Uganda destination video was one of the most rated films in the competition, and it highlighted the uniqueness, authenticity, variety of Uganda's beauty and inspired the jury and the film viewers to visit Uganda.
But for me, it is a recognition of our capacity to exercise our brains. Capacity to exercise our brains as a people, as a country. We have demonstrated our creativity to the whole world in the production of that video, that film.
Prior to COVID, tourism was playing a critical role in transforming the lives of many Ugandans. And I can tell you, now that COVID is over, or we know how to handle it, or deal with it, or live with it, the numbers of tourism numbers are going to start picking up.
The prestigious awards sought to honor exceptional and innovative video content related to the tourism and travel industry, accessible on all continents and can be seen and used on various platforms. Brian Tumwinebyaruhanga, UBC News.
Financial Intelligence Authority has updated the public on the strides being taken by Uganda to address loopholes affecting the country's financial system in a bid to match up with international standards. Now, this follows the listing of Uganda on the Financial Action Task Force Global Watch List, of which we are a member, and consequentially on the European Union Money Laundering Watch List. In 2016, Uganda was evaluated by the Financial Action Task Force, and their findings in 2020 show that there were 22 concerns in Uganda's financial system that needed to be addressed, thus being listed on the grey list.
So these joint groups, they cater for different, there are about 6 of them. For us, we fall in the joint group called Africa, Middle East. So every country that is in Africa or Middle East is assessed under this joint group, and we meet every 4 months. And the next meeting will be sometime in September this year. We shall report what we will have done between now and September, and it continues until that time when we are completely off the grey list.
Uganda, under a periodic mutual evaluation arrangement, is expected to provide evidence of compliance in 2 categories of standards, which are existence of financial laws that curb illicit financing and effectiveness of the laws.
Now, the money laundering arising from it is therefore the proceeds that you have generated by evading tax, and that's why the provisions mainly for trade-based money laundering are best identified between the banks and the Revenue Authority. However, the banks are obliged to report to us through the suspicious transaction reporting that ED has mentioned. But you have rightly mentioned it requires a lot of focus and training in banks to identify, look at the documentation and identify which documents are not correctly filed.
Since the enactment of the anti-money laundering law of Uganda in 2013, Uganda has registered low-profile cases of money laundering, which before were not considered illegal.
These cases take time. On average, it takes three years to investigate some of the complex crimes. So some of the cases we report are still in the pipeline. So I hold the view that in 2-3 years' time, the statistics will obviously increase. So it's more than one case. We have, I think, about 10 convictions now for money laundering, except it seems they are not of interest to the media, but there have been some, except that they are not considered high profile. But we have about 10 convictions in the last few years.
The Financial Action Task Force is the global watchdog of money laundering, terrorism financing and proliferation financing, with international membership of 39 countries, of which Uganda is among. Bamboo is a new crop that can contribute to agro-industrialization if farmers are encouraged to plant it, especially in mountainous areas. As Ivan Kawa reports, government has procured bamboo seedlings worth 60 million shillings to be planted along riverbanks to address climate change challenges in Kasese district.
Bamboos previously grew wild on the slopes of Mountain Rwenzori and other hilly areas of Kasese and other areas in western Uganda, but now they are being domesticated to assist trap water runoffs. Bamboos are now being planted along riverbanks for environmental conservation, as they can easily reduce on the momentum of water runoffs.
That's why we have fenced off the riverbank, so that at least when the water comes, it finds bamboo. It also finds the bamboo we have planted. It also finds different tree species that have grown up, has come up naturally.
Kasese local government has procured bamboo seedlings worth 60 million shillings to be planted along the rivers to control water runoffs, especially when rivers burst their banks.
And one of the challenges that locals face is flooding.
So that at a certain time when the rivers banks burst by the floods, then they find when the river banks are stabilized. And we urge government to support this project.
Worldwide Fund for Nature Conservation has also distributed farm tools to 2,085 homesteads that live along riverbanks to maintain the contour trenches as they carry out their agricultural practices.
If you have a contour trench in your farm and you have coffee there, be sure your coffee will feed, because the trenches keep water and feed the plants in the gardens.
Accessing Chiriba Chatumba hot springs in Kasese district, a bamboo makeshift structure is what welcomes visitors.
When Nyamwamba started the floods, government was preaching the gospel, we should plant bamboo. We should plant bamboo, and the natives don't see the value of bamboo. We normally see it as a traditional grass. So when they talked about bamboo, we thought the community to pick the idea of picking the program of the government. We need to show them exactly what is bamboo all about. Bamboo, we had to think we should put at the entry point where everyone can access it, so that people can see the value of bamboo.
Leaders are now interested in the domestication and industrialization of bamboos as a source of revenue.
You can see like this small box. If someone didn't tell you, you could think that this has come from ordinary timber. This is from bamboo. This is a calculator. You can see wooden. So from bamboo, you make textiles, floor tiles from bamboo. You can see a lady's bag. This, you can hold your documents here. All that is bamboo. Flask holder, that is bamboo. And many other things.
The Ministry of Water and Environment needs to have an action plan that seeks to promote sustainability and encouragement of planting bamboo.
That means more jobs, new industry, which is good for our country.
Government will also need to have demonstration places for the planting of bamboo.
What does that mean? Government using, for example, forest reserves, we plant bamboo, and government sets up small factories to process those products.
Some residents, however, are engaging in planting bamboo in nursery beds to support both environmental conservation and as well sell it off as a source of income.
These ones has very good roots to protect the soil, not to move so very fast.
Ivan Kahwa, UBC News in Kasese District.
Bank of Uganda has approved Afriland First Bank's request for voluntary liquidation. The insurance sector performance for 2021 shows fairly good growth, and the electricity regulator commits to supporting the growth of small and medium enterprises. More details in these business highlights.
According to Bank of Uganda, Afriland First Bank Uganda Limited's decision for voluntary liquidation was an outcome of a strategic business review by the shareholders Afriland First Group.
Bank of Uganda hereby informs the public that Afriland First Bank Uganda Limited is a solvent financial institution. Therefore, all depositors and other verified creditors shall be paid in full.
The Insurance Regulatory Authority has released the 2021 sector performance. Overall, the industry remained on a positive growth trajectory.
Premiums worth 1,178 billion were underwritten. This is a very positive growth, and overall it is a 10.61% growth.
In the period, non-life accounted for 59.8% of the aggregate written premiums, whereas life business accounted for 33.2%.
Life insurance business has continued to grow relatively faster than the non-life, and it grew by an average of 20.78%.
The regulator is, however, concerned about the rising inflation, which they believe will deter economic recovery and inevitably impact negatively on the insurance sector. In another development, the Electricity Regulatory Authority has signed a memorandum of understanding with the National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. The MOU seeks to support small and medium-sized enterprises to use electricity productively for business growth.
We talk about the affordability of this electricity, and the authority is saying that it is very cheap, but for us who are paying the dues for it, we consider it very not cheap because maybe the incentives that we don't understand.
Actually, the price of electricity is low. If you consider the price of electricity and the price of diesel, if you are going to run a small machine, the price of electricity is low.
ERA committed to providing the necessary support for the promotion and protection of the interests of the business community for sustainable growth and social and economic transformation. Charlotte Amuge and Dennis Igoa for UBC News.
The Ministry of Works and Transport has highlighted the need for remapping Lake Victoria routes for effective utilization of the water body. According to General Katumba Wamala, the navigational charts were last mapped more than 50 years ago when lake transport was underdeveloped. He urges East African community to handle the matter.
Navigational routes on Lake Victoria need to be updated in order to enhance safe water transport, argues General Katumba Wamala, the Minister of Works and Transport.
It was last surveyed and mapped
I think we're back in the 60s. We need to have it updated in terms of navigational charts, but also the sea lanes, the routes. We need to remap them and even be able to mark the bad spots, the rock sites with the buoys, good buoys in the lake.
He appeals for concerted efforts by the countries that share the water body to invest resources in improving the maritime routes.
I've appealed to the East African community. Yes, my minister who's in charge of East African community, so she has written it, already put it before the East African community to see whether it can be funded. So if you get ears to some of these ministers, let them support that effort.
Katumba made the appeal at a high-level meeting in Kampala with officials from the Central Corridor Transit Transport Facilitation Agency led by Florio Kanju, the new executive secretary. The mission of the team from Tanzania is to promote the route for mutual benefits.
So this is the big opportunity for us, Honorable Minister, to renew our commitment to you as our boss, that we will serve the Central Corridor agenda.
Okay.
And for us, there is no difference to make. So we need Uganda, cargo.
To attest to the commitment, CCTTFA and Uganda Railways Corporation signed a memorandum of understanding that seeks to boost cargo transport in the Central Corridor.
When the infrastructure is okay, when the infrastructure is good, goods flow in and out continuously without any interference.
URC needs capacity in terms of wagons, because without wagons, there is no way we can go to the port of Dar es Salaam. So if you could repair these wagons, we shall be very, very happy. And the renovation of the cargo handling equipment at the goods shed, so that now URA can be able to certify it as a customs area.
The Central Corridor is currently rehabilitating 20 Uganda Railways Corporation wagons at a tune of $300,000.
We signed a memorandum of understanding and the procurement ongoing.
We had a small budget of around $300,000. We asked them how many wagons can be accommodated. They said 20. So we've started a procurement. Hopefully by within a week or two, because our procurement is very fast, they will have somebody doing that rehabilitation. We expect to have it done at least by end of mid-July.
With more incentives and promotion, the route will certainly attract more business. Dennis Igoa for UBC News.
Generally, I think startups need the right talent, because in our university, and this is general in Africa, in our university we find a majority of theoretically trained graduates, which in turn they lack practical experiences on the job field. Hence, it's quite difficult for someone to just literally get employment right from the university, unless that person has gone through a lot of internships and other employment opportunities while they were in school. So I believe that the startups need the right talent to build their business models, and also need the right infrastructures. If governments should be able to put up structures like offices for startups to operate in, I believe that they would help support, cut down rent costs in starting or operating a business in Uganda.
Uganda's currency is rated amongst the most beautiful and hard to fake globally. It has been a worthwhile journey for Uganda's currency to reach this point for global admiration. Check this out in our Sounds of Business. As we sum up this episode, we would like to remind you that your health is your wealth. It makes no sense for you to make a ton of money only to spend it on hospital bills. Take care of your health and make sure you live good lives. Otherwise, thank you for joining us on this episode of the Weekly Business Roundup. My name is Wadulo Mark Arnold. Catch us on the next same time, same place, every Saturday, 8:30 p.m. From the team and I, it's good night.
Water gives life. Water is life. But not all water is created equal. Refresh yourself with the new quality Nirvana packaged drinking water and fuel you and your passion to go further in life.
Visit a shop near you and grab a 250 ml at 500 shillings, 500 ml at 1000 shillings, 1.5 liters at 2000 shillings, or the 20-liter jumbo bottle. Nirvana is a product of Crown Beverages Limited, the makers of Pepsi products.
Jennifer, Jukila, Wewagamba, I don't have waka. The eyes through me about my waka. Now come and see for yourself, see my waka that I got with Momo Nyabo. Jambola be waka, look at you waka, see my waka that I got with Momo Nyabo.
Show them waka with MTN. Simply deposit 20k or more on your mobile money for a chance to win 3 Toyota Succeeds and money to 2,000 lucky winners every week. We're giving away 24 cars and over 2 billion shillings of mobile money.
Yes, officers, welcome. Your Excellency the President. Your Excellency, you are most welcome to this occasion when we are the most privileged to have your lecture of opportunity to be presented to these officers from the 2 institutions of National Leadership Institute, Chankwanzi, and Oliver Tambo Leadership School, Kaweweta.
For the Defense Forces, the Deputy Overall Coordinator of Operation Wealth Creation, the Director, National Leadership Institute, Chankwanzi, UPDF directors present, directing staff from both Chankwanzi and Oliver Tambo, student officers, ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellency, I am Colonel Justice Rukundo, the Commandant Oliver Reginald Tambo School of Leadership and Pan-African Center of Excellence, Kaweta, to give you a brief about the school. Your Excellency, previously, I was the Director of Political Education and Land Forces. While accompanying student officers on such lectures of opportunity, I used to attend your lectures of opportunity in State House. However, today, Your Excellency, this is my first time to come as Commandant of Oliver Reginald Tambo School of Leadership and Pan-African Center of Excellence, and this course is my first intake. I therefore wish to thank you, Your Excellency, for entrusting me with this noble task of leading the institute, but also to pledge my best to do the assignment. Your Excellency, Oliver Reginald Tambo School of Leadership and Pan-African Center of Excellence, Kaweta, has been training militants on basic cadre development course, junior officers on political education and leadership course. Today, we train joint trainings for both police, UPDF, and prisons junior officers. However, we have plans to now start training also joint training for the lower cadres. Since its inception, the school has trained up to 12 intakes of junior political education and leadership courses, and we have also trained 12 intakes of basic cadre development course, and other identical courses we have trained over 8 intakes. We have also trained 1 intake of lawyers on patriotism training. Your Excellency, this course is called Joint Junior Political Education and Leadership Course, intake 12 of 2022. It started on 28th February 2022 and is closing on 27th May. It comprises 154 junior officers from UPDF 97, from police 31, from prisons 26. The course is scheduled for 12 weeks, involving both theory and practicals, and it is conducted in 2 phases. Phase 1 is covered by both external facilitators and directing staffs and instructors, while phase 2 is covered by external presenters, with Your Excellency's presentation today marking the end of training. Students had a study tour in the 10th week of training. Areas visited, Your Excellency, include Kaumu Presidential Demonstration Farm, Namukekera Industrial Park, Kapeka War Memorial Site, and Kapeka Prison.
Wealth creation, the Chief Political Commissar, the commandants of the 2 schools, the staff, and they train the students. It's good that you maintain the effort of ideological training, because it is that training that will give you answers to social problems. As the commandants said, I have written many booklets on these issues. The issue of political education is really the story of man. That's why people make so many mistakes, because they don't understand that story of man. If you read all those booklets, you'll find that I always point out that man as a species, Homo sapiens sapien, has been here for 4.5 million years, here on Earth. That is when man evolved from the lower primates. Now, once he evolved, he was a new creature. There were other creatures, plenty of them. Snakes, they were all there. But this one came with 3 new characteristics. Number 1, he had a superior brain. Now, this idea of a superior brain is confusing, because some people think that a superior brain meant a bigger brain in terms of kilograms. I don't think human beings have got a bigger brain than the elephant. I think the elephant has got a bigger brain. Superior brain does not mean size, just weight and size. Apparently, the reasoning part of the brain is the cortex, what they call the cortex, the outer part of the brain. And apparently the human brain has got more folds. And it is those folds which make it superior by giving this new animal called man ability to think, to reason, to judge, while the other animals normally follow just instinct without reasoning. So this new animal, 4.5 million years ago, had that characteristic, a superior brain. Secondly, he was bipedal, could walk on 2 legs. Unlike all the other animals, many of which are either crawling on the ground, like the snakes, or quadrupedal, walking on 4 legs, or brachiatas, going through the trees using hands, like the monkeys do in the forest. Now, this ability to walk on 2 legs apparently gives us some time to think, instead of being in the grass, negotiating, trying to see where to pass. Because you are standing up, your eyes and your brain are a bit freer to think. And then finally, the hand. The human being had a hand which could hold tools and even shape tools and therefore do work. All the other animals don't really work. They eat what they find, what is provided by nature. But man, because of the three characteristics, had capacity to do work. Now, once he had those 3 characteristics, then he started his long battle. And man's battle has got 2 aspects. Aspect number 1 is battle with nature. Because all creatures face threat from nature. The snakes, the wild animals, they all get problems of nature. Rain, cold, floods, drought, disease. all those are natural phenomena which threaten creatures, living things, including man. But because of the other three characteristics, the superior brain, the bipedalism, the hand, man, as time went on, or even from the beginning, was struggling to get solutions to mitigate or ameliorate the adversities of nature. He got tools, he made stone tools, some of which are even still in use today. If you go among the Banyankore, you'll find some of the stone tools. They're still being used. Orubengo. You know Orubengo? Orubengo, in actuality it is called Kidi Rego. Orubengo, it has got, this is the base stone. It has got a smaller stone. What is that called? Do we have some Banyankore here? Or some expired Banyankore, but who knows something about? What do you call the smaller stone? Go there on the microphone.
That small stone is called a seesaw.
A seesaw, yes.
Your Excellency, that one is called Anyakidi.
Anyakidi.
Yes, please.
Very good. Apoyo. There is another one. That one is for grinding, for milling. But there's another one for crushing, like this. You hold, you crush whatever you want to crush. If there are some Banyankore, what do they call that? And what is the process?
Your Excellency, I'm called Major Jacob Katom Garra. Me am Msongora, but I know somehow they are related. Omutuanjiro.
Bacheta wata?
Omutuanjiro.
Entuanjiro?
Omuti go Mutuanjiro.
That is a sentence now. we want a noun, not a sentence.
Your Excellency, Major Arnold Toire, it's called Nenshekuro. Omhini na Nenshekuro.
Oh, please. That is off the point. Then, but by the time, because see, to make, this is the whole thing, you need to understand the evolution of man and knowledge. Because to make a shakuro, which means a wooden mortar, and the muhini, the pounding club, by that time man has already developed. Because you know, to make a shakuro, you need to hollow, you need to chisel, to get a tree, and you hollow it, and obviously you can't do it just with hands. By that time they were having tools for cutting, for what. They had already gone very far by the time of. That's why I'm still on the stone, because the stone, that one, I think that's what they started with, the stone. So a shekel is wooden, it's not a stone. Do we have any? Yes?
I am called Major David Ogeng, Tesolan.
Tesolan?
Yes, sir.
What do they call it?
Ekep.
Ekep?
Yes, sir.
I can't audit that. I can't audit that man. So he can tell me any lie.
That one, it is a stone specifically picked by a woman or even a youth or even a man at home. You may have potatoes, sweet potatoes, or cassava. You put it on another big stone.
Okay.
And then use a smaller stone for crushing it.
Okay, that's the
Yes,
idea.
sir. It's called a cape.
Although I don't know the name, but these Banyankara are really letting me down.
Your Excellency, I'm called Major James Briavel Makejana. It is called Enkurungu.
This is Enkurungu. Enkurungu and the process. Because what Alan was saying, the mortar, the Shakura, with the Omuhini, that is the Shakura. They use that to say the Shakura, that process. But this one, okay, the man, the former Nyankwere, what is the process of crushing using the stone like that? Come and complete. The other one, the one who won.
Your Excellency, the process is called Okhonda.
This is the real Nyankwere now. So that is you really need that department of yours and the schools need to trace that development of knowledge from the stone tools to the use of metal. Because by the time you talk of a shakuru, you are already having iron. You already have iron. And you could not have iron without fire. So many of these stone tools were invented before the invention of fire. And I think if you go on the internet, you'll find that man invented fire 1.5 million years ago. So man was here for 3 million years without fire. You can imagine, using those stone tools. Now, when he invented fire, it created a new capacity. And that linkage between when he invented fire, he could now be able to cook. He didn't have to okumeketa eating raw food. He could warm himself. And that's why he was able to go from staying in trees, being a tree dweller, and he could stay in caves because he had fire to light the caves, to expel darkness from the caves. And eventually, he was able to make iron later on. Iron was invented between 5,000 and 3,000 BC, before Christ. And with iron, man became a bit more efficient because iron was a better tool. So therefore, in that long journey of man, you as social doctors, you would discover what is crucial in society. Like, for instance, the invention of fire, the invention of iron, the invention of gunpowder, the invention of the use of machines, the invention of the steam engine. You would discover that man, because of the other three qualities, the brain, the hand, the bipedalism, has been able to get more knowledge about nature. Because all those things are in nature, but people don't know how to get them. Fire was in nature. It was not from heaven. It was there. But they didn't know how to get it, how to make it. But with more knowledge, they get these new capacities. So therefore, the question to answer, you as social doctors, is to know that, in the gun, the bullet, if you look at the bullet, when you fire a gun, there is what starts the process of firing. If you look at a bullet, you will see the projectile, the one which is the solid, and then the cartridge, the one which is stored in powder. The powder is called propellant. Now, in the bottom of the bullet, there is a detonator, a smaller explosive. The powder in the cartridge is a bigger explosive. It is called nitrocellulose. But there is this smaller powder in the bottom of the bullet. That is the detonator. But the detonator must be struck by the needle of the. If you take the breech block of the gun, you will see the needle there. That needle is the one which strikes the detonator, which explodes the bullet. Now that detonator, that needle is called a primer. A primer is the one which starts the whole process. So therefore, for you, if you really want to help your people, it is very crucial to know what is the primer of social change. What makes things happen in society? And that's why there has been a big crisis in Africa, because leaders didn't know this. Now, the primer of social change is development in science and technology. Once you get development in science and technology, then society changes. It must change. So when there was the invention of fire, society changed. For the worse, but also for the better, but also for the worse. Because the fire solves the problems, but it also creates them. So it depends on how you use it. When there is the invention of gunpowder was invented. It is good, but it is also dangerous. All the invention, the steel. So therefore, when it comes to our people here, the question is, how can they change? If they continue with their old ways and you don't emphasize the development of science and technology, they will not change. They will believe in superstitions, witchcraft. Even the ones of religion, in a way, also cause a lot of confusion. These groups, religious groups, because they also preach a message of miracle wealth. That if you don't work, you just sit and you pray, you will be rich somehow. God will come and bring you wealth. The other day I was somewhere where they speak in Nyankore, and I was telling them, I said, Uksugeigansa is to make somebody do work which you should do yourself. God has already given us the brain, He's given us the three things. He has given us the brain, the bipedalism, and the hands. We should use them to solve the problems. That's what you need to know, but also convey to the others. So therefore, please, wherever you are, insist on the development of science and technology as the primer